Hello everyone, welcome back to another What If story. Today we are going to be covering What If Goku was raised by the Heaters, with part 6 of the series, and the end of the Frieza Rebellion arc. But before we begin, make sure to give this video a like and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed the content. It will only motivate me to continue doing more content. But with all that said, let's begin. The battle between Vegeta and Frieza will continue. Vegeta would deflect most of the crazy finger blasts from Frieza, but Frieza would rush at Vegeta, and rushes at Frieza at the same time. But Frieza would defend himself, and kicks Vegeta away. Vegeta would shoot multiple ki blasts at Frieza, and Frieza would deflect him. Vegeta would rush at Frieza, thinking that he would land a direct hit, but Frieza would block Vegeta's attack, and Vegeta would clench his teeth, thinking that Frieza is now close to his power and base. So Frieza would notice that Vegeta's eyes is turning yellow, and Frieza would be shocked as Vegeta punches Frieza in the gut, and is pushed back. Vegeta has tapped into his Akari form, and his power level is now 20 million. And with this new power, third form Frieza doesn't stand a chance, but luckily for Frieza, he'll fire at a window before shooting the ground, escaping outside, and powers up into his final form. The Saiyans would follow Frieza, but Vegeta would be shot by a death beam, and because he was off guard, this would hurt Vegeta more than usual, so Vegeta would revert back to base and would fall, but Kakarot would catch Vegeta and would bring him to the ground. Kakarot would look at Frieza and says he wants the other Saiyans to jump in and fight. While he says that, Kakarot powered up into his Akari form, followed by Nappa, Raditz, and even Engine. Actually, I just noticed that I have been calling Engine, and I should be calling him Gohan. Well, I guess this is a little reminder that Engine is Gohan, but with a little different name. I was supposed to have been saying that, and I just forgot. I'm totally not just saying that, cause I don't want to go back and change the name. Anyways, the Saiyans would rush at Frieza, and usually by themselves, Frieza would actually defeat them. But the Saiyans would actually work together and fight Frieza, and because the Saiyans are not used to teaming up together, their unpredictable teamwork is able to land some blows against Frieza, and sometimes the Saiyans will get into each other's ways, but most of the time, the Saiyans cover the others from their weak spots. And this is what would not only put the Saiyans on the same level as Frieza, but slightly over him, at times. And after a while, Vegeta would awaken, and he will see all of the Saiyans working together. Vegeta knows that he will have to help, so Vegeta powers up into his Akari form and jumps in. Vegeta would be annoyed that he has assists from the other Saiyans, but he knows that it's necessary to defeat Frieza. And with the Saiyan jumping in, Frieza would have a challenge. But Frieza isn't here for a challenge. He'll power up to 75%, and the Saiyans would be overpowered. Frieza would laugh. This is fun, torturing the Saiyans for trying to rebel against him. Frieza would punch Raditz in the face, and kick Nappa in the stomach, grabbing Kakarot's face and blasting him, knocking him out. Then he death beams Vegeta repeatedly. Vegeta would fall to the ground unconscious. Frieza would look victorious, looking at Broly, Maki, and Engine. Maki would tell Engine to stay back. She does not want him to get hurt or unleash that berserk form, but she'll have to do it herself because she will be the only one to have the power to defeat Frieza. Now, and thanks to her time in the time chamber, she was able to control her berserk form well enough to know the real opponent at least that she needs to take on. This form drains a lot of Maki's stamina, but it's a risk worth taking for the Saiyans to awaken again. Maki will power up and uses her berserk form, showing that she can transform into her berserk form transformation without taking off her necklace anymore, just like Engine. Unfortunately, we do not know if it is possible because most of the Heaters died, only leaving Maki and Noel, who barely fought in the Granola arc. So yeah, let's just go with it. Maki would rush at Frieza, punching him in the face, sending him flying, with Maki now having a power level of 65 million, being stronger than all the other Saiyans. Now we don't know the true multiplier for this transformation, but I gave Maki a big boost because of how easily Gas was able to beat down Granola. Maki would rush at Frieza, beating him down. Frieza would be shocked and enraged to see that this Heater lowlife is beating him down. The almighty Lord Frieza. He will decide that he has to power up into his full power, and luckily he has the chance to, because Maki goes to slam her head into a wall because of her rage. So Frieza gets ready to power up, but Broly powered up into Akari and punched Frieza into the wall. He totally forgot about this annoying Saiyan, and he was wondering why was this Saiyan waiting so long. But then, he saw Broly have an energy blast in his hand, and he blasted Frieza away, back into the building, and Frieza is barely alive, and this is the chance for him to power up into his full power form. Frieza would yell, destroying the building, now unleashing his full power, and his power level will be at 165 million. Now going by the theory that Frieza's power level was 200 million, but weakened by the Spirit Bomb, I thought that it would be fun to take that power level and give Frieza a weaker power level because of the blast Broly hit him with. But because Frieza wasn't as started as in canon, because there was no Kaioken times 20 Kamehameha, Frieza's power is a little bit higher. Now Frieza rushes at Broly, thinking that he was the most dangerous out of all the other Saiyans. Engine in this time would decide to try and go into the ship and stay in there until the Saiyans and his mother defeat Frieza, but Engine would be shocked to see that there is no spaceship. That means only one thing: Paragus was able to escape his prison, betraying the Saiyans and leaving them. He is enraged, but luckily he can control himself, for now. Engine will return to the fight as he sees his mother and Broly fighting Frieza, and they're losing. They do land some attacks on Frieza, but Frieza is hitting them with his strongest blows, and even though Broly grows while he fights, his durability can only take too much, and whenever Broly and Maki sends blasts at Frieza that will kill the normal fighter like the Saiyans for example, Frieza was able to survive because of his durability. Yeah, Frieza's durability can only go so far, but Frieza has more durability than Broly and Maki, and Broly and Maki are getting tired because of their transformations. Frieza is too, but Frieza is able to handle his transformation a little more, and defeats Maki and Broly. It would look like hope's lost, and Engine was getting more and more enraged. But Kakarot jumped back in the battle. He wasn't strong enough to defeat Frieza, but he thought if he was going to die, he was going to die trying. But unfortunately, Kakarot was defeated by Frieza, and Frieza would power up his last resort attack, and the blast would head towards Kakarot. Kakarot would close his eyes, accepting defeat, but someone steps in the way. Kakarot's eyes would widen. "No! Raditz! You can't!" But Raditz would just smile. He doesn't know what he thinks he's doing, but his body is moving on his own. He doesn't know if this is the right decision, but he'll say goodbye to Kakarot because he believes this is the end. Engine will call for his uncle, and Kakarot would yell at Raditz, telling him to stop. But it was too late. Raditz is hit by the attack, and he lands on the ground. Raditz would tell Kakarot that he is the last hope for the Saiyan race. Defeat Frieza, avenge not only him, but the rest of his family, and the whole Saiyan race. Kakarot will have tears falling down his face as Raditz dies in his hands. Frieza would laugh, telling Kakarot he should thank him because Raditz was so weak. He was mostly a burden to the Saiyans, instead of actually being a valuable member. Kakarot would tell Frieza to shut up. Raditz was a good man, and he had the potential to be stronger than him. Kakarot's hair would spike up and turn yellow as Frieza laughs at Kakarot's comment. But what he didn't expect was for Kakarot to kick him, sending him flying. But after that, to Kakarot's shock, someone else jumps in and kicks Frieza to the ground. It was Engine, and he was able to control his anger, like his mother, to focus on the true threats. Frieza. Speaking of Frieza, he recovers, being very injured from those two attacks. Right now, Kakarot is at a power level of 230 million, and Engine is at a power level of 220 million. Because Kakarot's grew as he fought in Akari, and after the multiple Zenkais, Kakarot has gotten stronger. And with Engine, his crazy rage gives him a higher boost than even his mother's, even though she has the same form. And Kakarot's Super Saiyan form and Engine will also grow while using this transformation. Kakarot and Engine will decide to end Frieza here and now, as they do a father-son crush stream, and they will send the attack at Frieza, killing the Space Hermit. Engine would use too much power and collapse while Kakarot still had his form, and try to get everyone off the planet that is now about to explode. But Kakarot will notice that the ship that the Saiyans came in is gone. Kakarot will grit his teeth, in anger, knowing what this means, but luckily Frieza's mothership is still around, and Kakarot knows how to work it, being a part of the Frieza army long enough to work it. So he gets all of the Saiyans and Maki and puts them in the spaceship, and without thinking, presses start and escapes to a planet. But what Kakarot doesn't know is that he is going to a planet that has magical Dragon Balls that can make any wish. From one of his soldiers before the fight, Frieza heard that there is a planet that has Dragon Balls, and they could make any wish. But before he was able to go, the Saiyans came. Kakarot will land next to Wenjin and Maki, powering it down from Super Saiyan, grateful for having them, and having the power to stop the past Emperor of the universe. Kakarot will wonder what's next for his adventure, as he has some sort of imagination, seeing someone that's a little bigger than Frieza, with golden skin, someone who also looks like Frieza, but has a different form, with a black and purple aura, and a person who looks weird with a scarf and a green hair, and an old gas. Kakarot will be confused by this weird look into the future, but he forgets it, as he closes his eyes, trying to recover some of his power, just in case the planet they are going to tries to attack them. A smile will appear on Kakarot's face, as part 6 comes to an end, but that is where we are going to leave it off for right now. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video, and if you did, make sure to give it a like, and subscribe to my channel if you enjoy the content. And if you ever want to work with me, if anything is unclear in the video and the explanation, or I just messed up on the story of Dragon Ball, then leave a comment down below. But with all that said, I'll see you all in the next video. See ya, and until we meet again. Run for your life. Hey, 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 run for your life. Freaky ass nigga, he the 69 god. Freaky ass nigga, he the 69 god. Hey, 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 run for your life. Hey, 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 run for your life. Say OVO, OVO, say OVO, OVO. Then step this way, step that way, then step this way, step that way. Play my friend, but we locked in. Then step this way, step that way, then step this way, step that way.